Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita reading. We are reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 17, Lord Chaitanya's pastimes in his youth. And yesterday we read uh, we were reading about the Nagar Sankirtan by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and when the Lord arrived at the house of Chand Kazi, all the people who were chanting with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were in ecstasy and they were roaring, "Kill the Kazi!" And they were just destroying his gardens and his house. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Chand Kazi, out of fear, didn't come outside. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat outside at the door and he sent some respectable men inside to call Chand Kazi. And then Chand Kazi came out, and then uh, Mahaprabhu said he was trying to. So Mahaprabhu honored him, gave him a seat, and then he said, "What kind of etiquette is this? I am a guest at your house, and you don't even come to greet your guest. What kind of a host are you? What kind of an etiquette is this?" Then Chand Kazi said, uh, he said that you were very angry with me, and just to pacify you, I stayed inside. I didn't want to come in front of you when you were angry. Now that you are pacified, I have come. And it's my good fortune that I got the good fortune to receive such an exalted guest as you. And then he said, in village relationship, your grandfather Nilambar Chakravarti was my uncle. And a village relationship is it's stronger than blood relationship, family relationship. So by that relationship, you become my nephew. I'm your uncle. So if the nephew becomes angry, then the uncle tolerates. Similarly, if the uncle uh, commits some offense, then the nephew also doesn't take it seriously. So in this way, Chandkaji tried to pacify Mahaprabhu, and Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami said that uh, speaking like this, uh, they were indicating, so they were saying something, but they were indicating to something else, indicating something else. Uh, but what they were speaking, and they were understanding each other. But the people around them, they couldn't make out what was going on, what they were talking about. Uh, so then, what happened after that? Okay, so we'll continue from there. प्रभु को है प्रश्न लागी आइलाम तुम्हारा स्थाने काजी को है आज्ञा करो ये तुम्हारा मने जे तुम्हारा मने अचिंत देव आदिति लता
Hare
माता
Krishna.
yeah
Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees.
please accept my humble obeisances Prabhuji all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Translation. The Lord said, "My dear uncle, I have come to your home just to ask you some questions."
Yeah, you can read the purport also, it's just one line.
Yes, the Kaji replied, "You are welcome. Just tell me what is in your mind."
So the Lord said, my dear uncle, so because Kaji made a relationship, he said that your grandfather, I used to call him uncle, so by that relationship, I become your uncle. So we should, love each other, not get angry with each other, forgive each other, tolerate each other like that. So now Mahaprabhu is also, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also went along and he said, yes, yes, my dear uncle. Now I have come to your house. There's a purpose. I have come to ask you some questions. So Chandkaji said, yes, yes. You are welcome. You can ask whatever you have in your mind. You can ask. So now begins the dialogue. प्रभु को है गो दुग्ध खाओ गाभी तुम्हारा माता वृषा अन्न उपजाय ताते ते हो पिता Arunita,
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
please accept my humble obeisances, Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Lord said, you drink cow's milk. Therefore, the cow is your mother, and the bull produces grains for your maintenance. Therefore, he is your father.
So this is how the Lord started his questions. So the question was, you drink cow's milk, just like you drink your mother's milk. So, and you're drinking cow's milk. So the cow is your mother. The bull is tilling the field to help in producing grains, and you eat those grains. That means the bull is working hard to, to give you food. Just like the father works hard, and by that work, he brings food for the family. So the cow is your mother and the bull is your father. That's the point. You're drinking the cow's milk, so cow is your mother, and the bull is working hard to produce your grains, therefore the bull is your father. पिता माता मारी खाओ एबा कौन धर्म कौन बोले करो तुम्ही ए मत विकर्म Arunita is there?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Since the bull and the cow are your father and mother, how can you kill and eat them? What kind of religious principle is this? On what strength are you so daring that you commit such sinful activity? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Since the bull and cow are your father and mother, that was already said, because the cow is giving you milk, bull is tilling the field and giving you grains. So since the bull and cow are your father and mother, how can you kill and eat them? Because they eat meat, and especially they eat cow flesh, cow and bull. So how they are your father and mother, and you profess to be a religious person. Kazi, remember we read he was uh, he was the guru, spiritual master of Nawab Hussain Shah. Of course, he was a magistrate, but also he was a guru, religious leader. And being a religious leader, you're killing and eating your father and mother. What kind of religious principle is this? Right? A religious leader, he sets example by his behavior. So you are killing and eating cow and bull, that means your father and mother, and still you're a very religious person. What kind of religious principle are you practicing? On what strength are you so daring that you commit such sinful activities? The Lord is challenging right away. On what strength are you so daring? Right? When you commit sinful activities, you're actually afraid of punishment. But you are boldly doing it without any fear. On what strength are you committing such sinful activities like that? Killing your own father and mother who are maintaining you, and then eating them and killing them for the sake of eating them. What kind of religious principle is this? And on what strength are you doing it? Purport, Isha.
Everyone can understand that we drink the milk of cows and take the help of bulls in producing agricultural products. Therefore, since our real father gives us food grains and our mother gives us milk with which to live, the cow and bull are considered our father and mother. According to Vedic civilization, there are 7 mothers, of which the cow is one. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu challenged the Muslim Ghazi. What kind of religious principle do you follow by killing your father and mother to eat them? In any civilized human society, no one would dare kill his father and mother for the purpose of eating them. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu challenged the system of Muslim religion as
Patricide.
patricide and matricide. In the Christian religion also, a principal commandment is thou shalt not kill. Nevertheless, Christians violate this rule. They are very expert in killing and in opening slaughterhouses. In our Krishna consciousness movement, our first provision is that no one should be allowed to eat any kind of flesh. It does not matter whether it is cow's flesh or goat's flesh, but we especially stress the prohibition against cow's flesh because according to Shastra, the cow is our mother. Thus, the Muslims' cow killing was challenged by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yes. So, actually, Chand Kazi will say this next. That anyway, we'll just read. We'll read, and then when the point comes, then we'll discuss. So, what is Srila Prabhupada saying here? From our understanding, we know that the ultimate pramana, or the only pramana, actually, non-defective, that pramana which has no defect is the Vedas. And in the Vedas, we understand that there are 7 mothers. Who are the 7 mothers? The mother that gives birth, the nurse, wife of the king, wife of the teacher, Mother Earth, the cow, and what's the other one? The wife of a Brahmana. The wife of a Brahmana. So these are the 7 wives. 7 mothers. So cow is also a mother. So the scripture says that the cow is a mother, and practically also you are drinking her milk and you're killing and eating. This is a sinful activity. So on one hand you say, so what is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doing? He's actually challenging the religious principle, or something which is going on as a religious principle. He's challenging that practice. And Srila Prabhupada said similarly, and Srila Prabhupada always challenged the of the 10 commandments, the first commandment, I think, it says, thou shalt not kill. So, thou shall not kill. I actually studied in a Christian school, and I remember we used to have moral science classes, and it was a Catholic school, so they would teach from the Bible. The teachers were all Christians like that. So the teacher was trying to get answers from the students. So she asked, "What do you mean by thou shall not kill?" The Ten Commandments. I didn't know all this at that time, but I just said, "Thou shall not kill" means you should not murder people. No, no, not murder. I said, "Thou shall not kill" means you should not eat meat, right? You should not kill and eat meat like that. So immediately she corrected me and she said, "No, thou shalt not kill does not mean killing animals and eating meat. Thou shalt not kill means you will not murder other people." So anyway, giving secondary meanings or giving interpret, it is a straight statement. Thou shalt not kill. It says you don't kill anyone, right? So, but even in churches, which are places of worship, they serve meat, right? Then how are you saying that you're a religious person? You're breaking your own religious principle. The Ten Commandments, one of the commandments is thou shalt not kill, and all Christians are very expert in killing, especially killing cows. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also said the same thing. The first thing he said was, "Why are you killing the cows?" So that's the point brought up here. So let's see. Yeah. So normally also you can understand with common sense, you can understand the cow is giving milk. So you can understand that way. But also according to the Vedic scriptures, cow is one of the mothers. It is said in the Vedas, and you can also understand practically because you're drinking her milk. Then in any civilized society, nobody dares to kill his father and mother for the purpose of eating. You'll never see it anywhere. Only even in animals, you see the mothers and fathers eating babies sometimes, some snakes like that. But nowhere do you see that the children are killing the mothers and fathers to eat them. But certainly not in human society. In any civilized human society, nobody dares to kill their father and mother for the sake of eating them. Then how are you, who are so advanced, supposedly, right, religious leader, how are you committing this patricide? Patricide means killing father and matricide means killing mother. Okay, yeah. In our Krishna consciousness movement, our first provision is that no one should be allowed to eat any kind of flesh. It does not matter whether it is cow's flesh or goat's flesh. No flesh, no meat eating. But especially stress the prohibition against cow's flesh because cow is our mother. In this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu challenged the Muslims killing of cows. Kaji kohe tomara yaiche Veda Purana, taiche amara Shastra ketava Korana. Okay, Krishna Ashish.
The Qazi replied, "As you have your scriptures called the Vedas and Puranas, we have our scripture, known as the Holy Quran."
So your scriptures are saying that cow is a mother, one of the seven mothers, or because you drink the cow's milk, cow is your mother, so cow should be worshipped, cow should not be killed. That's what your scriptures, the Vedas and Puranas say. But we have our scripture Quran, right? So you follow your scripture, we follow our scripture. Purport. Madhava.
Lord Kadi agreed to talk with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on the strength of the scriptures. According to the Vedic scripture, if one can support his position by quoting from the Vedas, his argument is perfect. Simply when the Muslims support their position with quotations from the Quran, their arguments are also authorized. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu raised the question of the Muslims eating cow killing and bull killing, Sankari came to the standard of understanding from the scriptures.
Yes. So when you quote from the scripture, like when there is a debate, whatever arguments you make, they should be made based on some pramana. If you make the statement quoting, just like in a law court, if you quote your argument based on the law books, then your argument will be accepted. It will be accepted as authentic. So similarly, as soon as Chand Kazi was challenged about cow killing, he is quoting from scriptures. So he's saying, you are speaking, you are following your scriptures, we have our scriptures. So in a debate, this is accepted, Srila Prabhupada is saying. If one can support his position by quoting from the Vedas, this is according to Vedic scripture, then his argument is perfect. Similarly, when the Muslims support their position with quotations from Quran, their arguments are also authorized. So this is the standard adopted by Chankar. Sei Shastre ko hai pravritti nivritti marga bheda nivritti marga jiva matra vadhera nisheda. Rasapriya.
According to the Quran, there are two ways of advancement: through increasing the propensity to enjoy and through decreasing the propensity to enjoy. On the path of decreasing attachment, nivritti marga, the killing of animals is prohibited.
So now Chankari is speaking on the strength of his scripture, the Quran. He's saying, according to the Quran, for one to progress on the spiritual path, there are two ways. One way is called the Pravritti Marga, and the other way is called the Nivritti Marga. Pravritti Marga means you accept sense enjoyment, and then there are certain conditions, and by doing that, you can still progress as long as you follow, you enjoy according to the injunctions given in the scripture. And the other path of advancement is called Nivritti Marga, where you decrease the propensity to enjoy. That means you reject sense enjoyment. In fact, you decrease. So Pravritti Marga means you increase the propensity to enjoy, and Nivritti Marga means you decrease the propensity to enjoy. So in Pravritti Marga, killing of animals is accepted. But in Nivritti Marga, the killing of animals is prohibited. So we have both paths. So killing is also allowed in the Quran. That's what he's saying. According to the Pravritti Marga. Pravritti Marge Govadha Korite Vidhi Hoy. Shastra Agyaya Vadha Koile Nahi Papa Bhoy. So who's next? Nilambari Mataji. Translation. You are able to hear me, Mataji? Nilambari Mataji?
Mataji, I couldn't open the page. I can hear you, but I couldn't open the page.
Oh, okay. So,
So I'm struggling to find out the page.
okay. Do you want me to tell you the number? You are opening your book?
No, I'm trying to open it. I'm now opening on my cell phone, and then I'll close it and open again.
Okay. So should I go to the next?
Something went wrong in my computer. So I will read later, maybe.
Yeah, sure. So Priyanka Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Please accept my humble obeisances, Mataji. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
On the path of material activities, there is regulation for killing cows. If such killing is done under the guidance of scripture, there is no sin.
Yeah, something like what he's saying is we can understand, in Karma Kanda, those who want to eat meat, then there is some regulation. You can eat only on the new moon day, Amavasya, after you offer it to Goddess Kali, like that. And then if you follow that, then you don't get the sin, like that. You are not punished for that. Of course, there will be a consequence. So similarly here, Chandkaji is saying on the part of material activities or pravritti marga, there is regulation for killing cows. That means their scripture allows them to kill cows, he's saying, on the pravritti marga. And if that killing is done under the guidance of scripture, there is no sin. So now, purport. Are you ready, Neelambari Mataji?
No, Mataji. I can. I couldn't even close this call. I can
Yeah.
do it on my cell phone, but I'm not able to closing this call. Okay, let me mute it.
Yeah, mute it.
Is it okay? Now I can read.
Still we
It's
hear
making
echo.
noise,
Yeah.
disturbance.
I'll just read it. I'll read it. It's a big purport. I'll just read it today. Okay. The word Shastra is derived from the dhatu or verbal root shas. Shas dhatu pertains to controlling or ruling, just like you have Shastra, right? Shastra. Then you have Shastra, like that. So, Shas dhatu pertains to controlling or ruling. Also, Shishya. Shishya means one uh, who is disciplined, right? Anyway, at least Shastra and Shastra, Shas Dhatu, pertains to controlling or ruling. A government's ruling through force or weapons is called a government's ruling through force or weapons is called Shastra. Thus, whenever there is ruling either by weapons or by injunctions, the Shas Dhatu is the basic principle. Between Shastra, ruling through weapons, and Shastra, ruling through the injunctions of the scriptures, the better is Shastra. Our Vedic scriptures are not ordinary law books of human common sense. They are the statements of factually liberated persons unaffected by the imperfectness of the senses. Shastra must be correct always, not sometimes correct and sometimes incorrect. In the Vedic scriptures, the cow is described as a mother. Therefore, she is a mother for all time. It is not, as some rascals say, that in the Vedic age she was a mother, but she is not in this age. If Shastra is an authority, the cow is a mother always. She was a mother in the Vedic age, and she is a mother in this age also. If one acts according to the injunctions of Shastra, he is freed from the reactions of sinful activity. Yes. For example, the propensities for eating flesh, drinking wine, and enjoying sex are all natural to the conditioned soul. The path of such enjoyment is called pravritti marga. The Shastra says, Pravrittir Esha Bhutanam Nivrittistu Mahaphala. One should not be carried away by the propensities of defective conditioned life. One should be guided by the principles of the Shastras. A child's propensity is to play all day long, but it is the injunction of the Shastras that the parents should take care to educate him. The Shastras are there just to guide the activities of human society. But because people do not refer to the instructions of Shastras, which are free from defects and imperfections, they are therefore misguided by so called educated teachers and leaders who are full of the deficiencies of conditioned life. Yes,
I can read, Mataji.
you can read.
Yeah, but if you're done, if you're not done.
Just completed the purport. Okay, let me see. Maybe the next one. Actually, I was going to stop here,
You
but
completed already. Then it's okay. No problem. I'll read the
okay.
next day because we
Okay.
have to do all the other stuff,
I
right?
know that's the
Yeah,
thing.
that's okay.
Yeah. Okay. So here, Shastra, this Chandkaji is quoting from the Quran. Then shall we say it's okay? What you're saying is also fine. Your Shastra is saying that, so you're doing, and I'm following my Shastra. Can we say that? For debate, for debate purpose, you may say generally in debates you have to quote from some authority. But still, how do you prove that that Shastra is actually Pramana, it is actually authority? There have to be some conditions met for you to accept a Shastra, or for that matter, any statement as an authority. There has to be uh, there has to be some conditions met. So again, I'll just say from the beginning, why do we need knowledge, or what is knowledge? We need knowledge to do all types of activities in this world. Any type of activity. You get a new laptop, you want to function, open the laptop, it comes with a manual, right? You have to have knowledge to do any activity. To cook, you need to have knowledge. To walk, you need to have knowledge. For all types of activities, you need knowledge. So, therefore, knowledge means it is the cause for all types of activities. The cause for all types of activities is knowledge. So, then the next point is, how do we get this knowledge? Hmm. So, uh, in a simplified way, I will tell you knowledge is of two types. There is real knowledge and there is not real knowledge. Yathartha Jnanam, Ayathartha Jnanam. Real knowledge means to understand something as it is. By seeing this phone, if I get the knowledge that this is a phone, then that knowledge is real knowledge. But by seeing this phone, if I get a knowledge that this is it's a pocket dictionary. If I think by seeing this, I say this is a pocket dictionary, then my knowledge is false. It's not real. So to get real knowledge, there are only 10 ways. There are only 10 ways in which you can get knowledge, actual knowledge, in this entire creation. It does not matter you are from which country, which religion, whoever you may be, demigod or whoever you may be, animals, birds, everyone. There's only 10 ways of getting knowledge. These 10 ways are consolidated into 3 ways. These 3 are Pratyaksha, Anumana, and Shabda. Pratyaksha means knowledge gained through your senses by direct perception. Whether you see something or you hear something, you smell something, you get knowledge. And with your mind also you get knowledge. That is one way, Pratyaksha. The knowledge gotten through direct perception is not perfect because senses themselves have 4 defects. Therefore, you cannot rely on knowledge derived by direct perception. For real knowledge, you cannot rely on the direct perception. The second way in which you can get knowledge is through inference. Inference means based on your observation. Observation is happening through your senses. You form some rules, and by applying those rules, you get knowledge by inference. Now, because this inference is also rooted in observation through senses, and the senses themselves have defects, so the second type is also not reliable for getting yathartha jnanam or real knowledge. Now, the only one remaining through which we can get real knowledge is shabda. Shabda means you get knowledge through statements, through sentence, by hearing a sentence. Either you hear it or you read it. So that means for to understand something, you have to know, right? You have to be more developed. You have to know the meanings of the words, and then you'll get that knowledge. Now, this third type is the only one in which you can actually get knowledge. But even in this third type, there are 2 kinds. If this sound, this statement, its source is again the senses, pratyaksha or anumana, then even though you're getting knowledge through shabda, by understanding the sentences, that knowledge can still be false, it can be defective. So the statements given by scientists, economists, right? So the knowledge that they are giving us in the form of rules, that knowledge is coming based on pratyaksha, their observation and their inference. And then they have written it down in books, and we are getting it as shabda because we are reading the sentences or we are hearing from the professors. that knowledge is also not real pramana, because it is based on pratyaksha, ultimately on the senses, and the senses have defects. So then what is that pramana which we can accept as free from all defects? That sound or that statement, that sentence which is free from the four defects. What are the four defects? Imperfection, imperfect senses, cheating tendency, illusion, right? And fourth one is um, Brahma, Pramada, mistake, making mistakes. Okay, Brahma, Pramada, Karana, Patava, Vipralipsa. These are the four defects that are there. So, when these defects are not there in a particular statement, that statement can be accepted as non-defect, that can be accepted as Pramana, Shabda Pramana. Shabda Pramana which is free from defects. All Shabda Pramana is not free from defects. Shabda Pramana received through some person, some grandmother said something, or someone else said something based on someone else, right? So in olden days, there's a saying, and you just get that. You cannot accept that as non-defective Shabda Pramana. Non-defective means it should be free from these four defects. That means that knowledge should not be based on, it should be coming from the sense perception. So now there are some conditions for someone to be non-defective. First condition is it will always produce only real knowledge. It will never give you false knowledge. Hmm? And this Shabda Pramana is like the king, and the other Pramanas are like servants. That means for them to give knowledge, sometimes these others can also give right knowledge, but for them to give right knowledge, they depend on Shabda Pramana. And they serve Shabda Pramana according to their capacities. This is a long discussion. I won't tell the whole thing now. It will take some time because with examples and proofs, we'll have to explain that. I'm not giving the whole detail, but I'm telling you here because Chand Kazi is quoting, and we often face this situation. Immediately, the other day also in our class, the question was raised. Somebody says, "You're following your Shastra. Why? I'm following Quran, I'm following Bible." Then what do we do there? Do you say it's okay? No. You have to first of all establish what is non-defective Shabda. For that, what are the conditions for non-defective Shabda? The conditions for non-defective Shabda is it should give knowledge to everyone. Everyone means any part of the world. That knowledge is applicable to everyone. It gives knowledge to everyone, past, present, and future. It's not that it is applicable now, but it's not applicable in the past or it's not applicable in the future. No, this holds true for all people, past, present, and future, anywhere. Second thing is, this Shabda should give knowledge about everything, all subjects, whatever there is within this universe and beyond also, about the creator, about who is God. All this knowledge must be given by this Shabda. It should be complete. Third condition is it gives knowledge independent of the other Pramanas. That means it does not depend on Pratyaksha and Anumana to give its knowledge. Okay? It cannot depend. Independently it can give. Not that for me to confirm the statement that is given in Shastra, I need to check it with my first, I have to see it only, then I will believe it. No. When a statement is made in the Shastra, then that itself is the proof. Not that this statement is said, let me check with my, either my logic will accept it or my Pratyaksha will accept. Show me God, then I will accept He is God. No. Non-defective Shabda means it's not dependent on your Pratyaksha and Anumana. That statement is final. Also, for this condition, now this Shabda should be beginningless. It shouldn't be born at some time, and it should not have end at any time. So you cannot trace out what is the beginning of this knowledge. It is eternal. Just like the Lord is eternal, the living entity is eternal, so this Shabda is also eternal. And the last is, it is Swayam Siddha. Swayam Siddha means it is self-evident. For it to prove its authenticity, it doesn't need a reference from anyone outside. That Shabda itself, so here when I say Shabda, you understand it's scripture. So that itself will state that it is authentic. It does not need any certificate from somebody else. There is no one above it. So this type of Shabda is the ultimate. This is non-defective Shabda. Now after setting the conditions like this, now you show me that scripture which is satisfying all these conditions, we will accept it as the ultimate scripture. Because just as God is one, scripture is also ultimate. That scripture should be applicable to everyone, and it should give knowledge, all types of knowledge that is there. Now people, when they start coming up with this is my scripture, you check for all these conditions. Is there a beginning for this scripture? How did it come? Who wrote it? Does it answer all questions? All subjects are there in that scripture. You find agriculture, medicine, cooking, everything is there in that. About God, about you, about hell and heaven, everything is there. And Swayam Siddha, that scripture, that itself will state about its authenticity. So when you look at all these conditions, then, so this is called establishing the ultimate pramana by elimination method. After these conditions are set, now everything gets eliminated. The only thing remaining is the Vedas. Nothing else can stand there. So now somebody else may say, so why should we adopt this method that you're giving? Somebody can say, right? Why should we adopt your method for arriving at the non-defective Shabda? Because this is the highest possible, this is the most genius method. You have some other method to arrive? Come on, show me. That's the challenge. You want to establish what is the highest, like this, systematically show us, prove that this is the way you can arrive at the ultimate Shabda. You have some other method, then you can come. This method is given by Srila Jiva Goswami. Srila Jiva Goswami is the student of Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. Rupa and Sanatan Goswami were the direct disciples of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. So, the Supreme Lord personally instructed Rupa Goswami at Prayag and Sanatan Goswami in Varanasi, and their student is Jiva Goswami, and Jiva Goswami has completely assimilated all the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and given us in the form of the Shat Sandarbhas, quoting thousands and thousands of verses from the Puranas, from Srimad Bhagavatam, from the scriptures, establishing the Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva given by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, there cannot be, there will not be, he is the ultimate scholar. There was no scholar like him in the past. There is nobody like him now. There will never ever be another scholar like him, such a genius person in the future. So he has given us this method of, in Tattva Sandarbha, he gives this method of arriving at the highest pramana. So here Chandkaji is saying, our scripture allows killing of cows. Can we accept that? First of all, we have to check what is the authenticity of your scripture. Is your scripture non-defective Shabda Pramana? Is it free from all defects? For that, you have to see the origin of the scripture, who has written it, and then the person who has written it. Is he a conditioned soul or a liberated soul? How do you know that he is a liberated soul? That also has to be stated in the non-defective Shabda itself. The reason we accept Krishna as the Supreme Lord is because it is stated in the Shastra. The reason we accept someone as a pure devotee is because it is said in the Shastra. So the Shastra non-defective Shabda is the ultimate Pramana. That is the point. So let's go back here. So we'll end Chaitanya Charitamrita reading here. Just here because Srila Prabhupada talked about Shastra, I just told you all this. So Srila Prabhupada is saying the word Shastra is derived from Dhatu, Shas Dhatu. So Shas Dhatu tells us about force, right? Ruling by force. Shas Dhatu means controlling or ruling. Shas means controlling or ruling. So Shastra is controlling. So how we should act in this life, what should be done, what should not be done, what is right, what is wrong, how we can perfect our life. All this knowledge we get from where? We get from Shastra. What is that Shastra? The Vedic scriptures. The Vedic scriptures are not ordinary law books of human common sense. They are statements of factually liberated persons. And factually liberated persons, it's not that they are also giving, actually, factually liberated persons. You know, Pratyaksha, I said, Pratyaksha means direct perception. In that, you have two types. One is called Vaidusha Pratyaksha and Avaidusha Pratyaksha. Vidushi, you know, right? Vidushi means a learned person. So Vaidusha Pratyaksha means the direct perception of liberated souls. They see things as they are. That's why they are, whatever they write, whatever they give, that is. So then how do you know that he's a Vaidusha Pratyaksha or not? Again, from Shastra only you can know. So yeah, we can stop there. We can discuss further in the next class. We have to recite the verses also. Yeah. So about Pravritti Marga, the Shastras, now the Vedic Shastras, they say that you should not adopt the Pravritti Marga. You should minimize, because the natural propensity of the conditioned soul is to do these four things: meat eating, intoxication. But if you want to progress in spiritual life, you have to refrain from them. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The Shastras are there just to guide the activities of human society, but because people do not refer to the instructions of Shastras, which are free from defects and imperfections, they are therefore misguided by so called educated teachers and leaders who are full of deficiencies of conditioned life. We will stop here today. Let's read Bhagavad Gita. It's already almost 8 o'clock. Okay. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 15, Purushottama Yoga. The yoga of the Supreme Person. Are you all also reading, reciting with me or no?
Yes, we are reading.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, let's start. The yoga of the Supreme Person, text 1. Sri Bhagavanu Vacha Urdhvamulam Adha Shakam Ashwatham Prahuravyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Sa Vedavid. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "It is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. Adhaschodvam prasritastasya shakha guna pravriddha vishaya pravala adhascha mulanyanu karmanubandhini manushya loke." The branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses. This tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to the fruitive actions of human society. न रूपमस्येह तथोपलभ्यते नान्तो न चादिर्न च सम्प्रतिष्ठा अश्वत्थमेनं सुविरूढमूलम् असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन छित्त्वा ततः पदं तत्परिमार्गितव्यम् यस्मिन् गता न निवर्तन्ति भूयः तमेव चाद्यं पुरुषं प्रपद्ये यतः प्रवृत्तिः प्रसृता पुराणी. The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. Thereafter, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. निर्माणमोहाजितसङ्गदोषा अध्यात्मनित्या विनिवृत्तकामा द्वन्द्वैर्विमुक्ताः सुखदुःखसंज्ञैर्गच्छन्त्यमूढा पदमव्ययम् तत्. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom. न तद्भासयते सूर्यो न शशाङ्को न पावकः यद्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम. That supreme abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. ममैवांशो जीवलोके जीवभूतः सनातनः मनः षष्ठानीन्द्रियाणि प्रकृतिस्थानि कर्षति. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. शरीरं यद् अवाप्नोति यच्चाप्युत्क्रामतीश्वरः गृहीत्वैतानि संयाति वायुर्गन्धानि वाशयात्. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as air carries aromas. Thus, he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. श्रोत्रं चक्षुस्पर्शनं च रसनं घ्राणम् एव च अधिष्ठाय मनश्चायं विषयान् उपसेवते. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. उत्क्रामन्तं स्थितं वापि भुञ्जानं वा गुणान्वितं विमूढानानुपश्यन्ति पश्यन्ति ज्ञानचक्षुषः. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. यतन्तो योगिनश्चैनं पश्यन्त्यात्मन्यवस्थितं यतन्तोऽप्यकृतात्मानो नैनं पश्यन्त्यचेतसः. The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly, but those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try. यदादित्यगतं तेजो जगद्भासयतेऽखिलं यच्चन्द्रमसि यच्चाग्नौ तत्तेजो विद्धि मामकम्. The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. गामाविश्य च भूतानि धारयाम्यहमोजसा पुष्णामि चौषधीः सर्वाः सोमो भूत्वा रसात्मकः. I enter into each planet, and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon, and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. अहं वैश्वानरो भूत्वा प्राणिनां देहमाश्रितः प्राणापानसमायुक्तः पचाम्यन्नं चतुर्विधम्. I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kinds of foodstuff. सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो मत्तः स्मृतिर्ज्ञानमपोहनं च वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृद्वेदविद् एव चाहम्. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. द्वाविमौ पुरुषौ लोके क्षरश्चाक्षर एव च क्षरः सर्वाणि भूतानि कूटस्थोऽक्षर उच्यते. There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible. उत्तमः पुरुषस्त्वन्यः परमात्मेत्युदाहृतः यो लोकत्रयमाविश्य बिभर्त्यव्यय ईश्वरः. Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. यस्माक्षरम् अतीतोऽहम् अक्षराद् अपि चोत्तमः अतोऽस्मि लोके वेदे च प्रथितः पुरुषोत्तमः. Because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that Supreme Person. यो माम् एवम् असम्मूढो जानाति पुरुषोत्तमं स सर्वविद् भजति माम् सर्वभावेन भारत. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. इति गुह्यतमं शास्त्रम् इदम् उक्तं मया नघ एतद् बुद्ध्वा बुद्धिमान् स्यात् कृतकृत्यश्च भारत. This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. Okay. पुरुषोत्तम योगा की जय. Brahmastuti. Text 1. Prayers, Brahma's prayers to Lord Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 14th chapter. Sri Brahmovacha Naumidhyate Bhravapuše Tadidambaraya Gunjavatam Saparipicchala Sanmukhaya Vanyasraje Kavalavetra Vishana Venu Lakshmashriye Mridupade Pashupangajaya. Lord Brahma said, My dear Lord, you are the only worshipable Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore I offer my humble obeisances and prayers just to please you. O son of the king of the cowherds, your transcendental body is dark blue like a new cloud. Your garment is brilliant like lightning, and the beauty of your face is enhanced by your gunja earrings and the peacock feather on your head. Wearing garlands of various forest flowers and leaves, and equipped with a herding stick, a buffalo horn, and a flute, you stand beautifully with a morsel of food in your hand. अस्यापि देव वपुषो मदनुग्रहस्य स्वेच्छामयस्य न तु भूतमयस्य कोऽपि नेषे महित्ववसितुं मनसान्तरेण साक्षात् तवैव किमुतात्मसुखानुभूतेः. My dear Lord, neither I nor anyone else can estimate the potency of this transcendental body of yours, which has shown such mercy to me and which appears just to fulfill the desires of your pure devotees. Although my mind is completely withdrawn from material affairs, I cannot understand your personal form. How then could I possibly understand the happiness you experience within yourself? ज्ञाने प्रयासमुदपास्य नमन्त एव जीवन्ति सन्मुखरितां भवदीयवार्तां स्थाने स्थिता श्रुतिगतां तनुवान् मनोभिर्ये प्रायशो जितजितोऽप्यसितैस्त्रिलोक्याम्. Those who, even while remaining situated in their established social positions, throw away the process of speculative knowledge, and with their body, words, and mind offer all respects to descriptions of your personality and activities, dedicating their lives to these narrations, which are vibrated by you personally and by your pure devotees, certainly conquer your lordship, although you are otherwise unconquerable by anyone within the three worlds. श्रेयस्कृतिं भक्तिमुदस्य ते विभो क्लिश्यन्ति ये केवलबोधलब्धये तेषामसौ क्लेशल एव शिष्यते नान्यद्यथा स्थूलतुषावघातिनाम्. My dear Lord, devotional service unto you is the best path for self-realization. If someone gives up that path and engages in the cultivation of speculative knowledge, he will simply undergo a troublesome process and will not achieve his desired result. As a person who beats an empty husk of wheat cannot get grain, one who simply speculates cannot achieve self realization. His only gain is trouble. पुरेह भूमन् बहवोऽपि योगिनस्त्वदर्पितेह निजकर्मलब्धया विबुध्य भक्त्यैव कथोपनीतया प्रपेदिरेञ्जोच्युत ते गतिं पराम्. O Almighty Lord, in the past, many yogis in this world achieved the platform of devotional service by offering all their endeavors unto you and faithfully carrying out their prescribed duties. Through such devotional service, perfected by the processes of hearing and chanting about you, they came to understand you, O Infallible One, and could easily surrender to you and achieve your supreme abode. तथापि भूमन्महिमा गुणस्य ते विबोद्धुमर्हत्यमलान्तरात्मभिः अविक्रियात् स्वानुभवादरूपतो ह्यनन्यबोध्यात्मतया न चान्यथा. Non-devotees, however, cannot realize you in your full personal feature. Nevertheless, it may be possible for them to realize your expansion as the impersonal Supreme by cultivating direct perception of the Self within the heart. But they can do this only by purifying their mind and senses of all conceptions of material distinctions and all attachment to material sense objects. Only in this way will your impersonal feature manifest itself to them. गुणात्मनस्तेऽपि गुणान् विमातुं हितावतीर्णस्य क ईशिरेस्या कालेन यैर्वा विमितासु कल्पैर्भूपांशवः मिहिकाद्युभासः. In time, learned philosophers or scientists might be able to count all the atoms of the earth, the particles of snow, or perhaps even the shining molecules radiating from the sun, the stars, and other luminaries. But among these learned men, who could possibly count the unlimited transcendental qualities possessed by you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who have descended onto the earth, surface of the earth, for the benefit of all living entities? तत्तेऽनुकम्पां सुसमीक्षमाणो भुञ्जान एवात्मकृतं विपाकं हृद्वाग्वपुर्भिर्विदधन्नमस्ते जीवेत यो मुक्तिपदे सदायभाक्. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds, and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. पश्येष मे नार्यवनन्त अनन्तम् अनन्त आद्ये परात्मनि त्वय्यपि मायि मायिनि मायां वितत्येक्षितुमात्मवैभवम् ह्यहं कियान् ऐच्छम् इवार्चिरग्नौ. My Lord, just see my uncivilized impudence. To test your power, I tried to extend my illusory potency to cover you. the unlimited and primeval supersoul who bewilder even the masters of illusion. What am I compared to you? I'm just like a small spark in the presence of a great fire. अतः क्षमस्वाच्युत मे रजो भुवो यजानतस्त्वत्पृथगीशमानिनः अजावलेपान्धतमोऽन्धचक्षुषा एषोऽनुकम्प्यो मयि नाथवानिति. Therefore, O infallible Lord, kindly excuse my offenses. I have taken birth in the mode of passion, and am thereby simply foolish, presuming myself a controller independent of your Lordship. My eyes are blinded by the darkness of ignorance, which causes me to think of myself as the unborn creator of the universe. But please consider that I am your servant, and therefore worthy of your compassion. क्वाहं तमो महदहं खचराग्निवार्भो संवेष्टिताण्डघटसप्तवितस्तिकायः क्वेदृग्विधा विगणिताण्डपराणुचर्या वाताध्वरोमविवरस्य च ते महित्वम्. What am I? A small creature, measuring 7 spans of my own hand. I am enclosed in a pot-like universe, composed of material nature, the total material energy, false ego, ether, air, water, and earth. And what is your glory? Unlimited universes pass through the pores of your body just as particles of dust pass through the openings of a screened window. उत्क्षेपणं गर्भगतस्य पादयोः किं कल्पते मातुरधोक्षजागसे किम् अस्ति नास्ति व्यपदेशभूषितं तवास्ति कुक्षे कियदप्यनन्तः. O Lord Adhokshaja, does a mother take offense when the child within her womb kicks with his legs? And is there anything in existence, whether designated by various philosophers as real or as unreal, that is actually outside your abdomen? Jagattrayanto dadi samplagode narayanasyodara vinirgato jastritivanna vaimrisha kintvishwaratvan na vinirgatosmi. My dear Lord, it is said that when the three planetary systems are merged into the water at the time of dissolution, your plenary portion Narayan lies down on the water. Gradually, a lotus flower grows from his navel, and Brahma takes birth upon that lotus flower. Certainly, these words are not false. Thus am I not born from you? नारायणस्त्वं न हि सर्वदेहिनाम् आत्मास्यधीशाखिललोकसाक्षी नारायणोऽङ्गं नरभूजलायनात् तच्चापि सत्यं न तवैव माया. Are you not the original Narayan, O Supreme Controller, since you are the soul of every embodied being and the eternal witness of all created realms? Indeed, Lord Narayan is your expansion, and he is called Narayan because he is the generating source of the primeval water of the universe. He is real, not a product of your illusory Maya. तच्चेज्जलस्तं तव सज्जगद्वपुः किं मे न दृष्टं भगवंस्तदैव किं वा सुदृष्टं हृदि मे तदैव किं नो सपद्येव पुनर्व्यदर्शि. My dear Lord, if your transcendental body, which shelters the entire universe, is actually lying upon the water, then why were you not seen by me when I searched for you? And why, though I could not envision you properly within my heart, did you then suddenly reveal yourself? अत्रैव मायाधमनावतारे यस्य प्रपञ्चस्य बहिस्फुटस्य कृत्स्नस्य चान्तर्जठरे जनन्या माया त्वमेव प्रकटीकृतं ते. My dear Lord, in this incarnation, you have proved that you are the supreme controller of Maya. Although you are now within this universe, the whole universal creation is within your transcendental body, a fact you demonstrated by exhibiting the universe within your abdomen before your mother Yashoda. यस्य कुक्षाविदं सर्वं तात्मं भाति यथा तथा तत्त्वय्यपीह तत्सर्वं किम idam मायया विना. Just as this entire universe, including you, was exhibited within your abdomen, so it is now manifested here externally in the same exact form. How could such things happen unless arranged by your inconceivable energy? अद्यैव त्वदृतेस्य किं मम न ते माया त्वमादर्शितम् एकोऽसि प्रथमं ततो व्रजसुहृद् वत्सा समस्ता अपि तावन्तोऽसि चतुर्भुजास्तदखिलैः साकं मयोपासितास्तावन्त्येव जगन्त्यभूस्तदमितं ब्रह्माद्वयं शिष्यते. Have you not shown me today that both you yourself and everything within this creation are manifestations of your inconceivable potency? First you appeared alone, and then you manifested yourself as all of Vrindavan's calves and cowherd boys, your friends. Next you appeared as an equal number of four-handed Vishnu forms, who were worshipped by all living beings, including me. And after that you appeared as an equal number of complete universes. Finally, you have now returned to your unlimited form as the supreme absolute truth, one without a second. अजानतां त्वत्पदवीमनात्मनि आत्मान आत्मात्मना भासि वितत्य मायां सृष्टाविवाहं जगतो विधान इव त्वमेषोऽन्त इव त्रिनेत्रः. To persons ignorant of your actual transcendental position, you appear as part of the material world, manifesting yourself by the expansion of your inconceivable energy. Thus, for the creation of the universe, you appear as me, Brahma; for its maintenance, you appear as yourself, Vishnu; and for its annihilation, you appear as Lord Trinetra, Shiva. सुरेष्वरिशिश्वीश तथैव नृष्वपि तिर्यक्षुयादश्वपि ते जनस्य जन्मासतां निग्रहाय प्रभो विधातः सदनुग्रहाय च. O Lord, O Supreme Creator and Master, you have no material birth, yet to defeat the false pride of the faithless demons and show mercy to your saintly devotees, you take birth among the demigods, sages, human beings, animals, and even the aquatics. को वेत्ति भूमन् भगवन् परात्मन् योगेश्वरोऽतिर्भवतस्त्रिलोक्यां क्व वा कथं वा कति वा कदेति विस्तारयन् क्रीडसि योगमायाम्. O Supreme Great One, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Super Soul, Master of all mystic power, your pastimes are taking place continuously in these three worlds, but who can estimate where, how, and when you are employing your spiritual energy and performing these innumerable pastimes? No one can understand the mystery of how your spiritual energy acts. तस्मादिदं जगदशेषमसत्स्वरूपं स्वप्नाभमस्तधिषणं पुरुदुःखदुःखं त्वय्येव नित्यसुखबोधतनावनन्ते मायात उद्यदपि यत्सदिवाव भाति. Therefore, this entire universe, which like a dream is by nature unreal, nevertheless appears real, and thus it covers one's consciousness and assails one with repeated miseries. This universe appears real because it is manifested by the potency of illusion emanating from you, whose unlimited transcendental forms are full of eternal happiness and knowledge. एकस्त्वमात्मा पुरुषः पुराणः सत्यस्वयं ज्योतिरनन्त आद्यः नित्योऽक्षरोऽजस्रसुखो निरञ्जनः पूर्णाद्वयो मुक्त उपाधितो मृतः. You are the one supreme soul, the primeval supreme personality, the absolute truth, self-manifested, endless and beginningless. You are eternal and infallible, perfect and complete, without any rival, and free from all material designations. Your happiness can never be obstructed, nor have you any connection with material contamination. Indeed, you are the indestructible nectar of immortality. एवं विधं त्वां सकलात्मनामपि स्वात्मानमात्मात्मतया विचक्षते गुर्वर्कलब्धोपनिषत्सु चक्षुषा ये ते तरन्तीव भवानृताम्बुधिम्. Those who have received the clear vision of knowledge from the sun-like spiritual master can see you in this way as the very soul of all souls, the super soul of everyone's own self. Thus, understanding your original personality, they are able to cross over the ocean of illusory material existence. आत्मानमेवात्मतया विजानताम् तेनैव जातं निखिलं प्रपञ्चितम् ज्ञानेन भूयोऽपि च तत्प्रलीयते रज्ज्वामहेर्भोगभवाभवौ यथा. A person who mistakes a rope for a snake becomes fearful, but he then gives up his fear upon realizing that the so-called snake does not exist. Similarly, for those who fail to recognize you as the supreme soul of all souls, the expansive illusory material existence arises, but knowledge of you at once causes it to subside. अज्ञानसंज्ञौ भवबन्धमोक्षौ द्वौ नाम नान्यौ स्तरितज्ञभावात् अजस्रचित्यात्मनि केवले परे विचार्यमाणे तरणाविवाहनि. The conception of material bondage and the conception of liberation are both manifestations of ignorance. Being outside the scope of true knowledge, they cease to exist when one correctly understands that the pure spirit soul is distinct from matter and always fully conscious. At that time, bondage and liberation no longer have any significance, just as day and night have no significance from the perspective of the sun. त्वाम् आत्मानं परं मत्वा परम् आत्मानमेव च आत्मा पुनर्बहिर्मृग्या अहोग्या जनताज्ञता. Just see the foolishness of these ignorant persons who consider you to be some separated manifestation of illusion and who consider the self, which is actually you, to be something else, the material body. Such fools conclude that the Supreme Soul is to be searched for somewhere outside your Supreme Personality. अन्तर्भवेनन्तभवन्तमेव यतत् त्यजन्तो मृगयन्ति सन्तः असन्तमप्यन्त्यहिमन्तरेण सन्तं गुणं तं किमुयन्ति सन्तः. O unlimited Lord, the saintly devotees seek you out within their own bodies by rejecting everything separate from you. Indeed, how can discriminating persons appreciate the real nature of a rope lying before them until they refute the illusion that it is a snake? अथापि ते देवपदाम्बुजद्वया प्रसादलेशानुगृहीत एव हि जानाति तत्त्वं भगवन्महिम्नो न चान्य एकोऽपि चिरं विचिन्वन्. My Lord, if one is favored by even a slight trace of the mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate to understand the supreme personality of Godhead are unable to know you, even though they continue to study the Vedas for many years. तदस्तु मे नाथ स भूरिभागो भवेत्र वान्यत्र तु वातिरश्चाम् येनाहमेकोऽपि भवज्जनानां भूत्वा निषेवे तव पादपल्लवम्. My dear Lord, I therefore pray to be so fortunate that in this life as Lord Brahma or in another life, wherever I take my birth, I may be counted as one of your devotees. I pray that wherever I may be, even among the animal species, I can engage in devotional service to your lotus feet. अहोति धन्या व्रजगोरमण्यः तन्यामृतं पीतमतीव ते मुदा यासां विभो वत्सतरात्मजात्मना यत्तृप्तयेद्यापि न चालमध्वराः. O Almighty Lord, how greatly fortunate are the cows and ladies of Vrindavan, the nectar of whose breast milk you have happily drunk to your full satisfaction, taking the form of their calves and children. All the Vedic sacrifices performed from time immemorial up to the present day have not given you as much satisfaction. अहो भाग्यम नन्दगोपाव्रजौकसाम् यन्मित्रं परमानन्दं पूर्णं ब्रह्म सनातनम्. How greatly fortunate are Nanda Maharaj, the cowherd men, and all the other inhabitants of Rajabhumi. There is no limit to their good fortune, because the absolute truth, the source of transcendental bliss, the eternal supreme Brahman, has become their friend. येषां तु भाग्यमहिमाच्युततावदास्ताम् एकादशैव हि वयं बत भूरिभागाः एतदृशीकचषकैरसकृत् पिबामः शर्वादयोऽङ्घ्र्युदज मध्वमृतास्सवं ते. Yet, even though the extent of the good fortune of these residents of Vrindavan is inconceivable, we 11 presiding deities of the various senses, headed by Lord Shiva, are also most fortunate because the senses of these devotees of Vrindavan are the cups through which we repeatedly drink the nectarian, intoxicating beverage of the honey of your lotus feet. तद्भूरिभाग्यमिह जन्म किमप्यतव्याम् यद्गोकुलेऽपि कथमङ्घ्रिरजोऽभिषेकम् यज्जीवितं तु निखिलं भगवान् मुकुन्दस्त्वद्यापि यत्पदरजः श्रुतिमृग्यमेव. My greatest possible good fortune would be to take any birth. uh, my greatest possible good fortune would be to take any birth, whatever, in this forest of Gokula, and have my head bathed by the dust falling from the lotus feet of any of its residents. Their entire life and soul is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Mukunda, the dust of whose lotus feet is still being searched for in the Vedic mantras. येषां घोषनिवासिनामुत भवान् किं देवरातेति नश्चेतो विश्वफलात् फलं त्वदपरं कुत्राप्ययन्मुह्यति तद्वेषादिव पूतनापि सकुला त्वामेव देवा पिता यद्धामार्थसुहृत्प्रियात्मतनया प्राणाशयास्त्वत्कृते. My mind becomes bewildered just trying to think of what reward other than you could be found anywhere. You are the embodiment of all benedictions which you bestow upon these residents of the cowherd community of Vrindavan. You have already arranged to give yourself to Putana and her family members in exchange for her disguising herself as a devotee. So what is left for you to give these devotees of Vrindavan, whose homes, wealth, friends, dear relations, bodies, children, and very lives and hearts are all dedicated only to you? तावद्रागादयः सेनास् तावत् कारागृहं गृहं तावन्मोहोऽङ्घ्रिनिगडो निगडो यावत् कृष्ण न ते जनाः. My dear Lord Krishna, until people become your devotees, their material attachments and desires remain thieves, their homes remain prisons, and their affectionate feelings for their family members remain foot shackles. प्रपञ्चं निष्प्रपञ्चोऽपि विडम्बयसि भूतले प्रपन्ना जनतानन्दा तन्दोऽहं प्रतितुं प्रभो. My dear Master, although you have nothing to do with material existence, you come to this earth and imitate material life just to expand the varieties of ecstatic enjoyment for your surrendered devotees. जानन्त एव जानन्तु किं बहुक्त्या न मे प्रभो मनसो वपुषो वाचो वैभवं तव गोचरः. There are people who say, I know everything about Krishna. Let them think that way. As far as I am concerned, I do not wish to speak very much about this matter. O my Lord, let me say this much. As far as your opulences are concerned, they are all beyond the reach of my mind, body, and words. अनुजानीहि मां कृष्ण सर्वं त्वं वेत्सि सर्वदृक् त्वं एव जगतां नाथो जगद एतत् तवार्पितम्. My dear Krishna, I now humbly request permission to leave. Actually, you are the knower and seer of all things. Indeed, you are the Lord of all the universes. And yet, I offer this one universe unto you. Sri Krishna Vrishni Kula Pushkara Joshadayin Shmanil Jarad Vijapashudadhi Vriddhikarin Uddharmasharvara Rakshiti Rakshasadhrug Akalpamarkamarhan Bhagavan Namaste. My dear Sri Krishna, you bestow happiness upon the lotus-like Vrishni dynasty and expand the great oceans consisting of the earth, the demigods, the brahmanas, and the cows. You dispel the dense darkness of irreligion and oppose the demons who have appeared on this earth. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, as long as this universe exists and as long as the sun shines, I will offer my obeisances unto you. Hare Krishna. ब्रह्मस्तुति की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, वैष्णव वृंद की जय. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank